And even though it slows down that process a little, it seems to slow down the process in the beginning, it actually seems to speed it up down the road.
Okay.
Because you know how we learn in creating neural pathways by myelinating those neural pathways through repetition. And now one challenge with a firearm that's kind of tough is, let's say if we're learning something, we're rewiring these neural pathways, we're myelinating these neural pathways. When we shoot a gun, for some it's a traumatic experience. Actually, for anybody, because we have a loud noise, we have an unnatural motion, and it's not normal. You know, it's just not part of our evolutionary being to hold something in our hand that does that. And you've heard of PTSD, right? So one of the factors of PTSD is that we go through a traumatic event, and during that event, we hypermyelinate a lot of neural pathways. We hypermyelinate, you know, we take in a lot of sensory input through vision, like 80% through our vision, smell, taste, tactile, sounds. And for me, something about smells, and there's some things like when I was in the military that I experienced that had a very distinct smell. And if I smell that today, it's like, you heard that word trigger, you know, that word?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I remember where I was when I smelled that horrible, you know, thing.
Yeah.
And so that's what happens where people are triggered about events that have happened in their life, good or bad. It's like, oh, I love that song. It gives me joy and emotion or whatever. I was, you know, did whatever, drove a car for the first time. Because that neural pathway is heavily myelinated. But when we have a traumatic event, it hypermyelinates those neural pathways. And the problem is, if those neural pathways are hypermyelinated, doing something incorrectly, it's really hard to break that down, okay, to break through that. So that's why we're focusing on doing everything right from the very, very beginning, because we can hypermyelinate good behavior, which is going to lead to greater success on the road. So we're really working on that process. So that's one reason why we're going through this. And so let's do that again. So we're going to go ahead and grasp, sight. Good. And remember, don't move your head. You're doing a good job. Always bring the gun up to your eye, the front side up to your eye. Touch. And press. You look good. And make sure. And now what's going to happen is when that gun fires, the slide's going to come to the rear, and the gun's going to move a little bit. What I want you to do is that gun, without putting an impulse into that gun, allow that gun to come back and find that front sight again. Okay? Because now this is going to give you the opportunity to take your second shot. You never take your next shot until you see that front sight again on target. Again, it's focused on the front sight. Your eyes are focused on the front sight, not on the target. Okay? Very good. Okay, let's talk about going to the holster. So let's go back to the ready. Notice how the gun is on the midline of your body, and I'm going to face this way so you can watch me. Okay, so I have the gun in a good firing grasp in the midline of my body, and because you're carrying appendix, you have some advantages over people that carry in other places. This is where I prefer to carry. I believe it's safer because I have visual, I have a good visual, line of sight on my holster. So I'm in my firing stance. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my hands to the midline, and obviously the threat is no longer present. And I'm going to grab my shirt, I'm going to pull it up. And yours is tucked in, but even with that, I'd like to just put your hand on your belly and pull that shirt tight. Finger off the trigger. I'm going to bring my elbow to the rear. I'm just going to lean back slightly so I can see this. The gun goes in vertically, finger off the trigger, straight down, and I'm looking the gun into the holster. So you'll hear me say, look your gun into the holster. Eyes and finger, slowly, instead of world record for slow going into the holster. No one ever won cool prizes going in fast, okay? And then you're good to go. So that's reholstering. People that carry in other places, it's hard to see that.
Yeah.
So like if I'm here, and I present my firearm, it's just really easy for me to go slowly and safely and reluctantly back to the holster. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and reholster the gun. Okay, line, and put your left hand on your belly. And all that does is we want to keep the shirt and any other objects out. And then I lift my finger away and just slowly, reluctantly back to them. That was absolutely perfect.
Okay.
Right? You did it. Yeah.
I was nervous about that part.
And most people are. But once you get that process down and you understand the decreased risk of carrying appendix versus in other places,
Yeah.
I feel a lot better. And now once it's in a holster, it's completely safe.
Okay.
You know, you can, I drive, I do everything like this. I mean, if I didn't have this on, you wouldn't even know I had a gun.
Yeah.
And you know, and you can do the same thing. You just untuck your shirt and you can hang out. And a lot of my female clients carry appendix. It doesn't matter their body size, and particularly with a gun like this, it's just very accommodating. And also because a lot of women's clothes don't have belts, they don't have other things. You can, there's other clips that'll firmly affix to clothing. I can send you a link on those, and they're metal. So like if you have like workout pants or something, and it might tear it up over time. But I got women that wear all sorts of clothes, and that's how they carry. So good.
Okay.
All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to present the gun from the holster. Okay. So we're just going to assume our good firing stance. Good. Right foot back a little bit. And what I'd like you to do is I want you to stand like this, elbows in, hands up. And we call this the fence. So not offense, but a fence. And you put your palms out facing me. Okay. I'm going to give you a list of reasons why we do this.
Okay.
You went to Target and you pulled into your parking spot. You eyeball it, you pull in your parking spot. That's my parking spot. You pull in, you're all happy, thinking about getting some Tide and some whatever ding dongs or whatever from Target, and I get out of my car. Hey, you bitch! That's my parking spot. That never happens, right? Okay, it happens every day, all over the place. That's my parking spot. When you're out of your car and you stand like this, for a couple things, you've heard about body language, right? Yeah, I'm going to tell you about it. Let's talk about body language. When your toes are pointed towards me, that is a show of confidence. That is a predatory stance. Okay, it's also an athletic stance. You don't see athletes standing like, unless they're like going to steal, second base or whatever. They're like this. My hands are up like this. What is this? The universal symbol in our society.
Relax.
Yeah. It's cool. So I do this. So it's relaxing. Okay, calm down. No, I'm not going to say calm down because that makes it worse.
Yeah.
There's 2 words. Actually, there's 4 words that I found to be very useful in my life, and it's taken me a long time to learn these words. I'm sorry. My bad. Okay, because what I've done is I'm sorry, and then I took ownership for it. My bad. And I walk away. Okay. So this hand is de-escalating. It also does another thing. People hear the ruckus, and they get their cameras out, and they see you doing this. I'm sorry, my bad. The audio of that, and then there's cameras up on the light poles, and it's looking down, and it sees you doing this. There's a legal term. It's called innocence. You cannot defend yourself if you're not innocent. And if I am the instigator, then I'm not innocent. So you have innocence. So you're building your court. You're building your case right now. Another thing this does. I should put that on your side. Yeah, I'm going to punch you in the face. I wouldn't do that. But you don't defend yourself. Like when people do that, they'll get in arguments and they'll mad dog like this. This is bad. Okay. If I ran at you, even if you had no fighting capability, you could push me, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you create distance. Okay, that's very good. So that's another reason. Also, then the last one, as a citizen defender that carries a firearm, I'm like this. I can reach into my pocket for my OC spray. I can hold you off, give you a little spicy something. Another thing I can do is, I can access my firearm. So grab my shirt right here, and I can do it very quickly. You're right there. Okay, so it puts me in a position to defend myself with my hands, with my mouth, with my brain, and also gives me a position to use whatever defensive tool that I need. Okay? All right. So go ahead and get in your fence. So These are the key words that we're going to talk about. So this is the first one. It's going to be fence, which includes stance, hands. The next one is draw. And draw is left hand to your shirt, and because you're tucked in, you're just going to hold that shirt tight. Right hand, good firing grasp on the gun. So draw. Okay, do this. Good. And get up as high on the gun as possible. Yes, and you can put your thumb over the top as well. I put mine down here. It doesn't matter either way. There's very little dogma in what we do. Good finger, trigger finger. And notice how my elbow is in. And now all I'm going to do is just pull the gun straight up. Very good. Now I'm going to rotate the gun. Okay, notice how it's in the middle line of my body, and my thumb comes around the grip. Okay? And form that grasp. Sight. Very good. Bringing that sight up to your eye. Touch. And press. Click. Good. Handgun goes bang. Finger on the trigger. And now we're going to go back to the holster. So bend your elbows to the middle line of your body. Secure your shirt. Lean back slightly. Finger off the trigger. Slowly and reluctantly go to the feet. You have now reholstered a firearm. It is one of the single most highest levels of risk things that you can do with a gun is reholstering it. And you've just done it successfully, and you did it perfectly. So good work.